This school shooting in Georgia yesterday was horrible, but I think it's important to reflect on how the two sides are approaching this tragedy today. Donald Trump, posting a statement immediately after solace and compassion in the face of evil, said, "Our hearts are with the victims and loved ones of those affected by the tragic event in Winder, Georgia." But the left went right to gun control.
It's senseless. It is. We've got to stop it. And we have to end this epidemic of gun violence in our country once and for all. You know, it doesn't have to be this way.
As Barack Obama's aide, Rahm Emanuel, once said, "Never let a good crisis go to waste." But I don't know how much clearer I can be on this. And I don't mean to sound harsh, folks, but I'm just going to say it. But just because somebody was shot doesn't give you the ability to take away my God-given right enshrined in the Second Amendment to own a firearm. So stop with that. But more importantly, it's not the guns. Spoons don't make people fat. Cars don't make people drive drunk. And a rock in the hand of a bad guy killed Abel. A rock in the hand of a good guy killed Goliath. The rock is not the problem. It's the people. And in this case, somebody that was not only on the radar of the FBI, he was on a watch list. And a year prior, they had interviewed this kid and his family, Colton Gray, who we now have pictures of from authorities, and his family, due to online threats, they were all up in their business too, about this school shooting. Nothing happened. Two psychiatrists had warned that this kid was homicidal, which, by the way, should have been a huge red flag. And the morning before the shooting, this school received a warning that it was going to happen. No one did anything. So I guess my question is, again, what laws can you pass to make criminals abide by laws? But also, why don't we enforce the current laws and we don't use the current information that we already have? The only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. And this case was no different. An armed school resource officer stopped this guy. He pulled out his gun and the bad guy surrendered. Which is weird because I seem to remember just about everyone on the left, like these headlines here, screaming that armed people in schools were somehow a bad thing. This one from the Urban Institute. States cannot rely on school resource officers to stop school shootings. Really? It stopped this one. And gun-free zone signs have stopped approximately, give or take, zero. In fact, gun-free zones were introduced in 1990 by Joe Biden, no less, taking effect in 1991. And since then, school shootings have quadrupled. By the way, the number of guns in America per capita has stayed about the same during the same time period. There have been a massive amount of new gun legislation measures, though. Guns are more regulated than ever before, and yet shootings in gun-free zones and everywhere else have quadrupled. Could it be that guns aren't the problem? Specifically, the type of guns that they're trying to ban? Just before this massive spike in school shootings as recently as the 80s, kids had guns in their cars to go hunting after school. Shooting programs were extracurricular activities sanctioned by the schools. 30 years before that, kids in more rural areas even brought their guns to school in class sometimes. No mass shootings. And according to a recent study, the gun liberals are trying to ban is not even the primary weapon of school shootings. Here, look, quote, "Handguns were by far the most common weapon used in school shootings, accounting for 84%, followed by rifles at 7% and shotguns at 4%. So why are they trying to ban the AR-15? That's what Kamala Harris wants to do.
I support buybacks, and I think that, look, we have 5 million assault weapons on the streets of America, and we have 5 million assault weapons on the streets of America. And assault weapons have been designed to kill a lot of human beings quickly. They are weapons of war, and there is no place for them on a civil society.
Actually, it's more like 20 million. There's more AR-15s than there are Ford F-150s on the street, but that's just neither here nor there. I mean, do you have to roll up the Constitution and like pop her over the head with it for her to understand that the Second Amendment is to protect weapons of war? Our founding fathers, they didn't come back from a hunting trip. They came back from liberating a nation, and our Bill of Rights intent is to protect our right to own a gun to go to war with it. People like Kamala Harris don't know what they're legislating. They're just trying to take your gun so they can do whatever they want once people are unarmed. Even Liz Cheney, of all people, used to understand this, saying a while back, Kamala Harris is a radical liberal who would raise taxes, take away guns and health insurance, and explode the size and power of the federal government. Which is weird because yesterday she fully endorsed Kamala Harris at some college speech. Maybe that's why she lost her primary by 35 points, thankfully. Look, the point here, and I'm making this to the liberal politicians, stop using school shootings to justify taking my lawfully owned guns, because one, I'm not going to give them up. And second, guns are not the problem. The problem is the lack of morals in society today and zero accountability. Crime's not punished. Our sense of community and decency has been replaced by government and bureaucracy and overregulated society. Our children are bombarded with perverted social pressure, a lack of presence of testosterone in their lives, and are oversaturated with the need for attention on social media. Our kids are sicker than ever before. They are fed crap plastic food with no nutrition, with hundreds of synthetic ingredients that make them fatter and sicker than any generation in the past. Our kids are over-medicated with a pharmaceutical cocktail chasing the latest and greatest fad. Ritalin, Wellbutrin, Zoloft. They take Adderall to wake up and get focused in the morning, and Xanax to counteract the anxiety caused by the Adderall, then an Ambien to go to sleep at night from all the sugar we feed them all day. We take pills to counter pills. And now, because we've made 73% of adults overweight, a quarter of our children are obese. Because of our corrupt food industry, we're even pushing injectable weight loss drugs to children as young as 6 with a lifetime prescription paid for by Medicaid with our tax dollars. You still think guns are the problem? We have created a generation of self-hating, attention-seeking, unhappy people. Guns are just a tool used by them to take out their anger. They'll use a pressure cooker, a car, or a baseball bat if they have to. I want the ability to shoot back. And fortunately, it's my right. So if you really want to address this problem, instead of attacking my rights, maybe try feeding your kids an egg or a steak or a piece of fruit. And instead of plopping them in front of a TV with a big bowl of unhealthy Lucky Charms, get them off their mind-altering psychological drugs they don't need. If your 8-year-old is jumping on the bed, it's not because he has ADD. It's because he's 8. That's what 8-year-olds do. Let them jump. Parents are more at fault for this than the kids are, honestly. Instead of handing a child an iPad with a social media stream of people that are edited to perfection, play some sports with them. I don't care how tired you are from work. I do it. These are difficult conversations we need to have to change this. Lazy parenting and a lack of societal values affects this far more than guns do. But no one wants to have this conversation because that offends people. And we're not supposed to do that anymore. Another product of the progressive ideology. Great job, guys. You want to solve this thing? You're going to need to offend some people. Some of the people who are profiting off this greatly too, by the way. But you're also your fat neighbor or your parents with an iPad, or the liberal on the PTA who thinks a drag queen story is fine, or the principal that wants to put tampons in your boy's bathroom. You are going to have to start saying no. Enough is enough. Because that's how we got here. That's how children today have become warped enough to walk into a classroom and start shooting their classmates. You want to solve this problem? You're going to have to make morals great again.